Welcome everyone. This is episode number 42 of the podcast, The Secretele Success. I am Elena Badea, Managing Director of the training, consulting and executive coaching company Valoria. And my guest today is Blaise Hope, the founder of Origin Hope Media Group. Hi Blaise, thank you for coming on the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Elena. I'm very excited, given our last conversations, to actually get on here.
Yes, I would like us to start by inviting you to share your story, your professional story from Jakarta to Origin Hope Media Group. Please tell us who you are and what is it that you do?
Sure. So I think best to start slightly before. I studied in the States. Went to college there. Obviously, I'm from the UK, and coming towards the end of my time there, I wanted to spend time in the developing world, and I felt like if I could take the risk of going somewhere when I could have gotten a job at a perfectly reputable publication or company in the US or the UK, I wanted to learn more about how the world worked, and I wanted the opportunity to carve my own path. So I got on a plane to Jakarta and didn't have a job when I arrived, and basically freelanced until after about a month I became the full-time copy editor for a local newspaper. Then just worked as hard as I could and started to deputize some managing editor duties when the guys were away. And then the company that owned that was setting up an English language TV station, and I moved over to that. And then eventually I became the evening news anchor for them, and also the producer, and was kind of in the nerve center. Spent my weekends shooting features and emceeing events, especially economic forums, which I'm probably most proud of in terms of doing all of that. Played a lot of sport too. Then I left and became a consultant while I was waiting for a sort of leadership role to open up. I then became editor-in-chief of Brilio English and editorial advisor to Brilio.net, which is part of the Kapanlagi Group, which is a massive publisher in that region. And from there, I went off and founded Origin based on the lessons I'd taken from my time there.
And Origin is your company, and what is that you're doing for your clients?
So Origin Hope is we're a production partner. What we do is we try to do stuff at scale for our clients, also kind of at any scale they want, on a modular basis, often for our corporate and startup clients, but for news publishers or any kind of publisher at all, we effectively plug in so that they can then allocate as much of their resources, whether that's just budget or headspace, to higher ticket work that requires more investment, more time. And so they use us to do everything else that they shouldn't have to spend time doing.
And that's a really great idea, because people are often busy with stuff that are not really core for their business. So that's very helpful. What are you passionate about in your work?
Well, I think the number one thing is, when I was studying, all I've ever heard, and frankly, it's still the opinion of most people, especially people from outside the industry looking in, but frighteningly at the time from so many people within the industry, speaking of journalism, but you can apply the rule to any form of editorial production, is that it was dying. And, at the time, the financial crisis, papers were folding left, right, and center. The past year has been a very difficult time as well for the people in this industry. Frankly, the industry is fine. We need to change it.
I agree. And how do you see the future of the industry going forward?
Well, people are going to have to adapt. The demand for content isn't going anywhere, and also the demand for accurate information isn't going anywhere. So the importance of a brand becoming a thought leader or a news company to publish regular news, as well as in-depth explorations of the unknown as well as the known, the appetite for that is only growing. So it's a question of, we have to find solutions that fit to make that possible.
So what's the role of the AI and of the other technologies in this picture?
So one of the principal roles of AI that we have is with our partner, actually. It's Monarch, and we work with them as to basically convert their AI technology, which generates sort of the bare bones of an article, but they do it very well. It's an important piece of work. It eliminates an initial stage of editorial work. We, however, make it into an actual product that is able to go straight to publish.
So there's a combination of the human skill and technology, meaning AI in this context.
Yeah, we try to maximize what AI can currently provide and continue to develop it further by having that constant feedback loop.
Where is the demand? Thank you. Where is the demand for content going these days? I mean, how do you see it?
The demand for content's going to continue to increase. There's no conceivable industry now that has gotten beyond it. Even traditionally very conservative industries are realizing that they have to get into it. Yeah. So that's not changing. That's going up and up.
But the curation part is still a concern. I mean, for the consumer, for the regular people, because they have so many options, and then there is all this hustle and bustle about the fake news. So this entire combination is not really helpful for the reader.
I think the general thing is readers are understanding that it's important to educate themselves and to be able to sniff out what's accurate and what's not. And I think the internet's still in its infancy, and we also have generations now that have grown up, fully with the internet. Yes. They're able to sniff out things pretty quickly. So a lot of the frauds that kind of get away with it now, they're not going to be able to sustain that in the way that they're doing it.
Yeah, you're right. I see. As far as the video content goes, do you see this production part becoming the main part of the demand, or there is still room for the regular articles and text-based content?
People want videos for certain things. They want them for effectively what a podcast does, but with your eyes to visually convey information. But as far as actually trying to understand the topic, there is mountains of data showing that when people want to understand something, even if they're 12 years old and they've grown up with a smartphone, they need to read it. So there's both. There are different ways of conveying it. They will operate together.
I see. In this industry, what do you want to provide as differentiating factors for success?
Well, number one is to not be looking at it from the traditional mindset and understanding that you need to reprioritize what's actually important about news. That is, what is getting through, what is accurate, and what is able to hold someone's attention without compromising on the ethics of what you're putting through. Sure. And that's just as true for a company in terms of the information it wants to be putting out. And it's not holding on to previous structures, previous ways of working, and not being inflexible, because that's only sounding your own death knell.
Yes, indeed. That's so true. So who are your clients? Give us a little bit of a detail regarding the companies that work with, you're working with them, but actually who are your clients, Blaise?
Sure. Well, so look, for the news people, I have to be somewhat coy, as a lot of this stuff, I can't really get into. We have clients that involve startups that have raised a tremendous amount of money that are in publishing. Established businesses with evaluations of somewhere between sort of 5 and 100 million, and some that are extremely old businesses that are enormous with centralized functions that we're hoping to work with that publish in the order of hundreds of thousands of pieces a year.
And the industry that is the one that is more close to you, in the sense that, I mean, in my case, I love working with B2B. B2B company, not so much retail, and I'm all about services. That's where I do well. But in your case?
Well, I see it the same way. We are providing a service to other businesses. We are B2B. We are allowing the head of a marketing department at a financial technology company, which we can mention some of those too, Apex Global being a big one, to realize their most ambitious dreams. And we're doing the same with other people. And we're happy, and we do it in the background. We don't need the fanfare because we aren't a publisher.
Yes, true. What are your current plans and what are your projects for the future?
Well, the current focus is going into year 3. We have standing capacity now. We want to just keep developing our relationships with our existing clients and keep branching out. And I think we also want to deepen our relationship with our AI provider. And, ultimately, it's a very beneficial relationship for them and for us to continue developing their tech and also making it more marketable. But from a personal perspective, we want to just be innovating in how we work within our clients' own infrastructure. And I think that's what I'm really excited about getting into.
It sounds complex for me, not knowing the background and the bolts and nuts of your business. It sounds a little bit complex.
I'll put it like this, if I may. If you want to get into the terminology, anything sounds complex. Just think of a production line. Production line works in its age. The age changes. And there is great flexibility in how you can now build a production line.
Yes.
However, if you still have the old one, there is a degree to which you need to smash it and fix it and turn it around. So that's really what it is.
Yeah, I see now. I see what you're saying. So in 3 or 4 years from now on, where will Origin Hope Media Group be?
I think what I would like to see is us in a position where we are getting some recognition for the work we are doing behind the scenes, but we're getting that recognition in front, having earned it. I think that's what I mean. And I think we'd be at a significant enough scale then to have earned that kind of coverage, that people would be able to recognize who we are not long, without having to sort of be told.
Yes. Are you a game changer?
Well, a lot of startup founders describe themselves as game changers. I want to point out that we haven't, we're not blowing a load of investors' money. There is no investor money. It's just me. And I think game changing, I don't know who said it, probably quite a few people, but let's say it was Jeff Bezos. An overnight success takes about 10 years. I'd like to think so. I believe what I'm doing is addressing something that I think needs to be done. And I believe it changes the way the entire content and media industry works. And I think what is media now is in fact everything. It's our entire economy. So I think that is the game plan. Whether I am that, I think that's not something I like to think about.
Still to be confirmed.
If I earn it, then great, but it'll be the tribute to the work of everybody who worked with me.
Absolutely. And you are not a newcomer to the industry. You have already years of experience behind you to make you real. I mean, to
look,
really
my head has, I knew that I was going into this industry by the time I was about 11. And I think that, so as whatever the years are of my actual career, for me, this started a long time ago. So, and I think, frankly, my fascination has been with the industry and with the processes within it, which is why I'm able to do this, and never with getting the name on anything, and never with the column, because it was just never about that for me.
No. Please tell me a little bit more about you becoming fascinated with this industry at 11. I'm just curious.
Well, sure. No, I mean, I think the reality was, a fairly academic family. And there was never a subject that I was bad at, but I was so much better at anything that involved critical reasosoning, writing. I was decent at maths, but it couldn't hold my attention. And what happened was, the priority at that age was to get me studying things like ancient Greek and philosophy over hard sciences once we got to the basic level. Not that I'm not interested in it, but it was sort of, just so obvious. But also my interest in geopolitics and the fact my consumption of news had reached, pretty, I guess, average adult levels when I was probably 6 or 7. just in terms of, I just was really interested in it. So there was no escape. I was interested in it and I wanted to consume all of it and I couldn't get enough. And so, Wikipedia for me also, when that launched, I've spent, I don't know, a significant percentage of my life just reading.
Yeah.
I think when you're that kind of person and also the diversity of the information you're taking in, the role of anyone who produces diverse amounts of content is to digest information rapidly. So I think that was it.
Yes. Fascinating. It's really fascinating for me to hear that, because I've never met anyone who was reading like that or being interested in this kind of things at 7 or 8. That's amazing. So now you're an entrepreneur, and I was just wondering how difficult it is to be an entrepreneur in your industry and in your country.
Well, I think, I think you're dealing with competing pressures a lot. Number one, you need to make the jump. And I think the jump for me was, am I going to be the guy that's going to stand around here complaining about how things are working? Or am I actually going to do something about it, given that I have an idea? It's like, all right, well, if you want to be the guy who's standing there complaining about it, then you have nothing to complain about because you haven't done nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
So my view was, okay, get on with it. So what's the idea? So then you move from one to the other. And I think you reach the internal conclusion that, because there's just no way you can do this without taking a bunch of punches to the face and the body. So you just, once you have your idea, make sure that you believe in it. And then you can crack on. And as far as the road, I think the promised land is so, you achieve something that you set out to do and you do it yourself. But, the setbacks that you face along the way, or the challenges, will be a better way, because, setbacks implied you're not learning something. You are always learning something. They
Absolutely.
are shaping. Yeah,
They're
shaping.
shaping. Yes. And there's this saying that once you make sure that you understand what you're passionate about, just get in line, stay in line, do your job, be the best at it, and something good will come your way, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to stick to things. You can create your own future. It's totally up to you.
Agreed. So my last question, it's always this one. In your opinion, which are the secrets of a successful business these days?
I think these days there's a few things. And number one is you write your own story. Mm-hmm. So, it is down to you. And I think thinking it any other way is silly. But the most important thing is the people around you. You aren't doing things alone, and learning how to speak with them. And what I do, and this is from experience with, my own bosses and also my own failures as a leader, is you need to expose yourself to people, who you are, who you really are, when you're angry, when you're upset, when you're happy, when you're high, because people need to understand what you want from them, especially now that, frankly, we're all going to be working somewhat remotely from now on. And also as workforces become more globalized, it's going to be important. People need to know who you are. And then if they figure out who you are, then they can leave. And that's fine, because they weren't made to be there. And the ones that stick around, they're the ones who should be working.
Very well put and very true. Blaise Hope, founder of Origin Hope Media Group, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and it has been very, very nice to have you as my guest.
Elena, it's been brilliant, and it's been a pleasure. Always nice to have nice things said about you in a public forum.
Let's keep in touch.
Pleasure. Absolutely. Take care.